G'day cocktail lovers, I come to you today with an important message, and that message is the time to make your eggnog is now. What's this blasphemous talk, you say? Make eggnog a month before December even starts? Doesn't Christmas stuff start too soon? Well, I'm not saying drink your eggnog now. I'm also not saying don't drink your eggnog now. Hell, I have a batch of aged eggnog in the fridge all year round. But if you don't, now's the time to make stuff so it's suitably aged before Christmas. Often when I mention aged eggnog, people go, what do you mean aged? Why'd you go off? It's got milk and eggs and cream. It also has alcohol, a natural preservative. And if you make it like me, it honestly has a fair amount of alcohol in it. But you don't have to listen to me. Listen to Alton Brown, which is who I listen to, and I use his aged eggnog recipe as the basis for mine. I freeform a little bit, and honestly, I only make a batch that's about half the size of his. And when I cut all these measurements in about half, I still end up with 2 liters of eggnog. So Alton Brown makes friggin' huge batches of eggnog. I'll link to Alton Brown's recipe in the description of the video, but I thoroughly recommend you just use that as a starting point. Improvise a little. So it talks about having cream and milk and half and half. Half and half's not actually a thing we have in Australia. So I used more cream, and for fun, I used some vanilla malt flavored milk. He recommends using a blend of whiskey, rum, and brandy, which I thoroughly agree with, and I did. And he talks about, how much sugar to put in, and he's talking about putting spices like nutmeg, etc. Now that's where I improvised. I used my spiced apple sugar syrup that I have made on the channel before. It's super yummy, and I'll also put a link on how to make that. Having said all that, here's how I make my version. I start with 6 eggs as opposed to Alton Brown's 12 eggs. Then I added to that 250 grams of my spiced apple brown sugar syrup, 500 mils of cream, 250 mils of milk, flavored in my case, 150 mils of rum, 150 mils of brandy, 150 mils of whiskey. And for fun, I had about 100 mils of brown creme de cacao left in a bottle, and I chucked that in as well. My eggnog is relatively dark because of the brown sugar syrup I use. If you made it with white sugar, it's going to be a much lighter colored eggnog. But also, that's another area where I recommend experimenting with different sugars or sugar syrups. I love actually having all those flavors in the sugar syrup, so I don't have to worry, am I using enough cinnamon or enough nutmeg? And just whiz it all up and then put it into bottles. And I keep mine in the fridge. Honestly, if you were in one of the cooler areas of the world, particularly if you had a cellar or something like that, I don't think you need to refrigerate it. It will keep. I'm in Australia and our Christmas is in summer, so I do keep it in the fridge, and I just shake it every day or two, at least a couple of times a week, to make sure it's integrating. And I'd say if the idea of serving it up after aging it for 2 months freaks you out a little bit, just do taste tests. I think the minimum you should let it rest for, and not just rest, you should shake it up as well. I think the minimum is 2 days, but definitely if you can bring yourself to wait 2 weeks, it tastes so much better. All the flavors kind of merge into one another and it becomes rounder and richer. But my favorite is around the 2-month mark. I made some mid-year for a Christmas in July party that never happened. I was going to share it with my co-workers, and we didn't have the Christmas in July party. It ended up being early September when I shared it. So that had aged about 4 months, and everyone loved it. This stuff is great. Once you can get past the mental image of, I don't think I should age something that has milk and cream and eggs in it, the world's your oyster, because you can super experiment with the spirits as well. You could use tequila, basically any spirit you like, you can experiment with and come up with your own take on eggnog. But I just so strongly recommend the aging process. It definitely makes it better. I'll be honest, I did do a taste test just after making this batch, and it was yum. So I am super looking forward to how it's going to taste in a couple of weeks and then in a couple of months. Trust me on this, it might sound scary, But would your Uncle Angry lead you astray? I mean, look, probably there are a whole bunch of things you shouldn't trust me on, honestly. I'm a reasonably disreputable character. But trust me on this, and if you don't trust me, trust Alton Brown. Aged eggnog is the way to go, so the time to make your eggnog for the best Christmas flavour is right now.